It's all about progress, and there's no good just sitting on your backsides.
I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for Scotland, actually, because they're becoming a truly national league for the first time.
Every manager wants to win something, you know. But we'll see what happens, you know.
Ross County from Dingwall and Caledonian Thistle from Inverness are about to begin a proud chapter for football in the north of Scotland. For the first time, they have the chance to aim for this. The Premier League is the pinnacle of club football in this country, but for more than 100 years, the opportunity to play there has been denied to the teams who make up the Highland League. But on January the 12th at the RAC Club in Glasgow, an old wrong was made right as clubs voted to admit Ross County and the merged club of Caledonian Thistle into the new national setup. County Chairman Hector McLennan and Caledonian Thistle Chairman-designate John MacDonald toasted their success. Ahead of them were 8 hectic months of preparation. League Secretary Peter Donald oversaw the momentous changes of reconstruction. Discontent among the major clubs and the threat of a breakaway Super League forced through the new structure of 4 leagues of 10 teams. But why did the two get the prized places ahead of Gretna, Gallifreydine and Elgin City?
Ross County are a well-run club. They have a tidy facility. They play neat, tidy football. They seem to be professionally run. The people behind the club put forward the case very well and based it on the football argument that Ross County would be a positive asset in the Scottish Football League. In Inverness, we were dealing with something different. It was a whole new idea. We're trying to merge 2 clubs, of course, which is not easy. It proved to be very difficult, but it was achieved. And therefore, we were dealing a little with what the future may hold. The base in Inverness, of course, gives the club a great opportunity to make an impact in Scottish football.
Up until January, Inverness was the largest town in Scotland without a league football team. They'd tried in the past. Thistle lost out by only 1 vote in 1974, but failed. In order to gain entry this time, Caledonian and Thistle did what many considered heresy. They decided to merge. For more than a century, the 2 clubs had sustained a rivalry as fierce as any in the country. Both had proud traditions and histories, great teams, successful ones. There was fierce opposition on all sides. Court action was used in an attempt to stop the clubs joining forces.
It's a complex operation, starting from scratch, from the bones of 2 proud clubs with an individual tradition. It's been particularly difficult because both teams have been still playing. They've been competing against each other right to the end. So that's again has added to the tension. They've been working on separate agendas, as it were. The history of the Highland League is studded with attempts ranging back to the 1930s to have a merger of Inverness clubs. So the desire is not a new one, it's not a sudden spasm. The desire has been deep-rooted and has lasted down the decades. I think it's significant that many of the older players and the older officials are the ones who are most in favour of this rather than against it.
I know, a lot of supporters unhappy about this. This is because 100 years it was Thistle club and Caledonian is different, It's history, but I definitely know it's step up front, and it's different football for people next season and better standard, I hope. And I think people will be enjoying more.
Baltacha's sentiments reflected both clubs' determination that the opposition wouldn't derail them from their purpose. On the 24th of February, the new board of directors met for the first time.
I never expected in my time as a football player or as a football man that we would ever have a team that would be accepted by the Scottish Football League. So this is indeed a great day for all of us here and for the people of the town of Inverness. We're all here for the good of football, we're all football people, and I would like to think that at the end of our endeavours Inverness will have a very, very professional and professionally run football team.
Well, Inverness has the opportunity from a population base that others really couldn't match in Scotland to do well. The plans are to have a new stadium, and that in itself would be another positive asset. So I think that the Inverness club has a great opportunity to do well, given that they are still in the early stages of structuring the club, and it may take some time to bed in, but given an opportunity and a little time, I'm sure they will progress.
Despite that spirit of optimism, the club would have to overcome many obstacles in the months which lay ahead and endure heated boardroom discussions.
It's been mostly talk, disagreements, agreements, disagreements, talk. It's been pretty tough, and I'm sure you can appreciate that to merge two teams with over 100 years history each was pretty difficult, and one cannot help but sympathise with some of the arguments that have been put forward by the supporters from both camps. I mean, it's a great step forward to merge two football clubs.
In contrast, for Ross County, just 13 miles across the Keswick Bridge from the Highland capital, their preparations took a far less tortuous path. In the shadow of drilling rigs in the Cromarty Firth, the 5,000-strong population of Dingwall are at ease with their football team's accession to the league. Under the guiding hands of manager Bobby Wilson, County have gained a reputation as one of the best footballing sides in the north. For him, the new season is filled with opportunities.
The game's all about progress, and there's no good just sitting on your backsides. I mean, 1987 I took over here, and they were within a phone call away for going out 2 years prior to that. I mean, what we've done here is something, next to amazing. The directors have worked hard. We've got a new stand. We've won the league twice. We've won umpteen cup competitions, and the standard has been set. And so really, it just shows you what you can do if you have a wee bit of ambition. I'm sure that given a couple of seasons of sort of settling in, that then we could maybe go forward again. And it all depends on what quality youngsters we've got coming through or what other players that we could sign. But I think that give it 2 or 3 years, it won't be far away.
Backing Wilson in those ambitions is County Chairman Hector McLennan, a local publican. From his bar in nearby Maryborough, he masterminded their application to the league. Now they're in, they aim to stay and prosper.
We're under no illusions. We know fine that it's going to really. We've got to work hard. We've got to be ambitious. And I think we've got to go. We had to go, so it's up to us now to make a success of it. And I think there's enough people around the table not to do that. We're only there on probation. That's another thing. I mean, we've got 5 years to prove ourselves, and before we become full members of the Scottish League, and that in itself will keep us going. And I'm quite sure there's the teams in the south won't like to be beaten by teams from the north, and they'll get better. Hopefully, it'll be more competitive, because I think they just sit there. I'm quite positive a lot of the second division sides or third division, whatever they are, just sit there knowing full well that they're going to be there next year anyway, irrespective.
But one former county director and lifelong fan is slightly less optimistic.
From the board's point of view, my God, they've a mountain to climb. And I don't mean Ben Nevis, more like Everest. It's the time that has to be given to these things. It's demanding. It's and people who are on the board must realise that this is the only way it can be done.
Highland League historian and journalist Bill McAllister has been covering football in the north for more than 30 years. He believes the area stands to benefit greatly from the club's elevation to the third division.
I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for Scotland, actually, because they're becoming a truly national league for the first time instead of being a basically central belt with bits added on. But for the Highlands, it gets them into the national game, opens doors to finance, opportunity for young players, the chance for Highland people to watch football at the best level that its teams can play. It's the opportunity to progress, to achieve potential. In the Highland League, you can be a good team, but you have no means of getting better. There is no reward for winning the championship other than a tin pot and a flag.
Oh, it can do nothing but be beneficial to it. The young boys now can see a pathway into senior football, which wasn't there before. The only hope before was to play well locally, and some team picks them up and gives you a few £1,000 for them. So here, now they're part of that structure by getting in there. And I would imagine that a lot of boys would want to be associated with Inverness, Caledonian, and Caledonian Thistle, isn't it? Because and Ross County. They're in this environment, they're down there, being seen by senior clubs, Premier League clubs, First Division clubs. And it opens the door for more opportunity.
But this is the reality of football in the lower reaches of the Scottish League. Small crowds, tight budgets and a near constant struggle to survive. Meadowbank, here playing Forfar, were the last team to be admitted to the league 20 years ago. They themselves are enduring upheaval and fan discontent over their plans to move to Livingston on the outskirts of Edinburgh and change their name to that of the town. The man who took them into the league in the 1970s spelled out the financial burden they have to endure.
You're talking about £80,000 a year, and that's a minimum. That's not all the club, but that's this club, the way it's been handled, has been well handled, so I should think about £80,000 a year.
Meadowbank voted for Gala and Caledonian Thistle, but don't believe the new structure is right for Scottish football. The club have a pessimistic view of how the third division will cope with its two new members.
Travelling for certain clubs is going to present a not only costly business, but hardship as well, if in fact they find themselves playing at midweek.
And financially, do you think that's going to be a great burden, not only for the two new teams going in from the Highland League, but also to the teams from down south, from here, the centre of the belt, that will have to play them?
Financially, the rules state at the moment that the home club keeps their home gate. So for those clubs travelling north, it's a dead loss. Can't put it better than that.
These are the teams which make up Division 3. Their geographical location makes questions of finance crucial. The state of the coffers could dictate the two clubs' success or lack of it. Other than the local derbies, it'll be on the team bus for long journeys to such footballing outposts as East Stirling in Falkirk, Arbroath in Angus on the east coast, and Albion Rovers at Coatbridge in Lanarkshire. The financial gulf between the new teams would appear to be wide. The potential pulling power of Inverness is immense. The fastest growing district in Scotland, Caledonian Thistle should also be one of the richest clubs. If they overcome disagreement and realise their assets by selling their two grounds and moving to a state-of-the-art all-seated stadium. This is currently the favoured site at Longman on the northern approaches to the town.
The quality of finance and football and facility that Inverness has to offer is an asset to Inverness, to the Highlands, but also to Scotland generally, I think. I mean, I think the combined strength of two clubs with 216 years of heritage it gives them something on the football side. You've also got the pulling power of something like 200,000 people in within 45 minutes, an hour drive.
Obviously with the developments in the north in terms of communication, that a lot of the clubs who may in the past have had some reservations were much more relaxed about the potential difficulties, whether they're imagined or not, of getting up and down the road, and even when they're there to get the game played. I think these days are gone, and obviously the voting reflected the confidence that the clubs in membership of the league had in the ability of both Ross County and Inverness to be able to deliver.
County have plans to redevelop Victoria Park into an all-seater stadium by the turn of the century. Upgrading work to comply with the Taylor report has been going on all summer. They're also having a share issue to raise capital.
Hopefully the transition will be smooth. I mean, apparently Inverness Thistle or Caledonian Thistle, they have apparently, well, at the moment they say they've got a lot of assets behind them. When they realise these assets like it, well, we'll just have to get on with it. We're starting from the bottom, and I'm quite sure we'll be quite successful. And it's all about skill at the end of the day. Money doesn't always buy success.
They've got the business acumen in the board. You've also got, I mean, their basic home gate is something in the region of 1,100 people, which there's a great many Scottish League clubs would love to have that kind of situation. They have an excellent away support. The structure of the club as a limited company is the right one for making progress.
As last season came to a close, questions of finance were the last thing on most people's minds. For football fans in Inverness, May the 11th, 1994 will remain forever etched in the memory. After 109 years of fierce rivalry, Caledonian and Thistle met for the last time in the Highland League. More than 2,000 fans filed into Telford Street for the final derby. Feelings over the merger were mixed.
Not happy about it at all, totally against it, yeah.
Why?
Well, because of the great history it's been with the Caledonian Football Club over the years, and to merge with a team that's just about bankrupt, we just bailing them out.
I think it's an excellent idea.
Do you think the majority of people in Inverness are going to back the team?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be the cynicals that'll be against it, but I reckon it'll be a good thing in the end.
I think it's better for Thistle, but I don't like the way it's how they're calling it Caledonian Thistle. I don't think that's a good idea.
Do you think a lot of people think it's basically a takeover by Cali?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's well overdue, and it's going to be good for the town, good for the area.
The intensity of the match was reflected on the terraces. The two clubs may have been on the brink of joining forces, but you would never have guessed.
If you're proud to be a Chuggy, clap your hands. If you're proud to be a Chuggy, proud to be a Chuggy, proud to be a Chuggy, clap your hands. Cowley! Cowley! Cowley!
Both sets of directors sat apart in the stand. In the dugout, the passions of the occasion frequently came to the fore.
One Alan, pressure, son, pressure, pressure. Well done, Alan, man, come on.
Alan!
Chunky, get the...
Well done, Al, good dive.
The match was won by Cali stalwart Billy Urquhart, his second half goal sparking delirious celebrations in the Cali camp. But come the final whistle, protest was on some supporters' minds. More than 100 Cali fans remained behind to voice their vociferous opposition. However, the hundreds who departed, the silent majority, were to get their way. While accepting the new club has been difficult for the supporters, it's been equally hard for the players. Thistle captain Dave Milroy retired in May after 23 years as a player with the Jags. He planned to quit before the merger was announced. But at the end of the season, he voiced his concerns for the new team.
I'm quite in favour of the merger at the end of the day. Yeah, I think it'll be a good thing for football in Inverness and football in the north. It'll give young boys something to aim towards as they're learning the game. The only thing that worries me now about it is that, as we're speaking, it seems to be a bit of a takeover bid rather than a merger. And I'm afraid that the identity of Thistle will be lost perhaps in 2 or 3 years' time.
Milroy saw the general running down of King's Mills, Thistle's ground, as endemic of their decline. He sympathised with the fans who stayed loyal to the team until the end.
The support we've had this season has been fantastic, even although we've been down at the bottom end of the league. We've had a hardcore of support that have attended all the home and away matches, and they've been more vociferous than far bigger supports. And, for their sake as well, it's a shame that they won't have the club to go and support next year, because we've thoroughly enjoyed having them there, and we've felt privileged that they've stuck around us.
6 weeks later, Milroy was appointed coach at Caledonian Thistle. But there's another side to the player's coin, exemplified by the man who'll be the new club's goalkeeper, Mark McRitchie. The 23-year-old has high hopes this season will be the springboard for his career.
I've been hoping for the last couple of seasons. You hear all this hearsay and a lot of talking about that I was going to get a chance, but nothing ever came along. I mean, a trial here and there, but there was nothing concrete. Well, I was a trial with Rangers. I had a trial with Rangers for a week, and I had a trial with St Johnstone as well a couple of years back, and you heard talk about Dunfermline, even clubs in England. You heard Derby and Sheffield United, but nothing ever came.
And now you're obviously getting the chance.
Getting the chance, hopefully. I mean, I'm 23 now, so you've got to get taken quite soon to get a chance at full time.
For Ross County, their last Highland League match at Victoria Park was ironically against the champions, Huntly, who hadn't even applied to join the Scottish League.
Oh no, it's the last Highland League game, so I want to go out in a wee bit of blaze of glory. Very fitting that we're playing the Highland League champions. We know it's going to be hard up there, very uncompromising. I'm saying that the brutality. They take no prisoners.
The team displayed their slick passing game, but Huntly's power proved too much. County lost 1-0, despite Wilson's determined efforts from the touchline.
Just play it simple. If you're into the last third, then that's when you look to take the boys on. But in this area, unless you're getting the shout for the back, for to take them on, then you're looking for midfield players. Come on, work your guts off now.
It was a result typical of a season where one eye was firmly fixed on the coming August. The match displayed Wilson's brand of management, a mixture of persuasion and coercion.
On in, all the way. Right up to the 18-yard line. Come on, all the way through. Right 18-yard line. Check on the line. I'm done.
He was a member of one of Dundee's best ever sides. In recent years, he's become one of the most successful managers in the Highland League.
He's known the triumphs and disappointments, but at the same time he's steeped in knowledge of the Highland League. That's 6 Highland League championships he's been involved with. And he has the rounded knowledge of both of the Highlands and of the South. So I think he's a particularly significant asset to the club.
In contrast, Caledonian Thistle boss Sergei Baltacha comes from the Ukraine in the former Soviet Union and has played at the highest level against some of the world's greatest players. He also intends to play next season.
54 caps for the Soviet Union, Olympic Games medals, UEFA Cup medals. He's also an A licensed SFA coach already, personally interviewed and assessed by Craig Brown, as well as being a Soviet Union A grade, so that's a fairly unique pedigree.
I checked out with Craig Brown, the national manager, and his assistants at Lags, and he rates very highly in their opinion as a qualified coach. And people are always crying out for Scotland to play more technical football, so I thought, well, we're going to hire a manager, we may as well hire the best one we can get.
But experience wins you nothing. Performances on the park, starting this Saturday, will mean far more to both managers than past glories. Their commitment is undoubted. Both began their pre-season regime while the World Cup in the USA was still in its early stages. Hard work in July will reap its rewards in the long winter ahead. In the Caledonian Thistle side, only 2 Jags players feature. It remains to be seen if their traditions survive. While the rivalry between the sides will be strong, the 2 managers met for lunch before the big kick-off. Both remain defiantly ambitious.
People are a wee bit sceptical of what you're going into. You know, it's a worry for us. The players, they'll just go in and they'll accept it and they'll play. But no, we played the Scottish Cup there, and you know, there's nothing really to fear.
I think we're better football side, you know, with ball. When we have ball, we play better football.
Yeah.
But I think they better defending, you know, better organized team when off ball. You know, when they lose ball, they know what to do. You know,
yeah, they're back defending all quicker.
Yeah, you know, and they can't defend it because, you know, second division team, it's very physical, you know, football, very fast, you know, pacey.
I don't think I'll change my style. I might have to change my style slightly, but you know, I think if you've got quality players, I mean, I think it's up to us to try and keep the standard as high as possible.
Yeah.
This is the trophy they'll be fighting over. Being painstakingly engraved in a Glasgow jeweller's, in 2 days' time, teams begin the battle to be the first name on it. Caledonian Thistle are at home to Arbroath, while Bobby Wilson leads Ross County to Cowdenbeath, where he began his playing career in 1961. There's an overwhelming spirit of optimism within the new clubs that come May they'll raise the new trophy. However, they come into the league with this salutary warning.
Especially if you're in the 3rd division, I should imagine there's going to be a few clubs might go back to the wall. There's no time to jump and think you're bringing a big man and everything's all that. It just doesn't work that way. So you watch what you've been doing, you don't spend money you haven't got, and watch every penny it goes out, and that's the only way you can sin. And even then it's hard.
Every manager looking for something success, but you know, easy to say this is, you know, but difficult to done this. And we're looking to try to do best next season.
Consolidation is the first and foremost that we've got to get under our belt. We've got to make sure that we're not going to be any easy mates.
Earlier this week, the clubs came up against league opposition for the first time in the opening round of the Coca-Cola League Cup.